Are we live? There we are. Turn the volume down on my music. All right. So I'm hopping on today to share another part of my realizations for how to get out of this slump where you just feel like you're melted into a puddle and it's not surviving and not thriving and making big waves like you have to. Hold on. We got kids crossing. Can you? I'm on a call. That's what happens when you're live. Okay, so back to this. So I've just made a video sharing all of my favorite insights on how I really went from just struggling and being in this place of always trying to get back into being productive and trying to get back into taking action and making things happen and being like such a driven person and trying to get back onto that. And there were two realizations with that. Number one is that I needed to create a system to make myself consistently productive and to be able to get back into it as soon as a slump happened, as soon as, not right now. All the kids are coming by. All right, I'll be right there with you guys. Okay, so I realized that I needed to create the system. And so I went over that in video one, but basically the short of it is come up with one very small, bite-sized, like really tiny task that you can check off and that will start off your momentum for the day, and it's going to help you get the next thing done, the next thing, next thing, next thing, and this huge chain reaction. Okay, so that is covered. And if you want to see the full details of that, you'll want to check out my previous video to this one. So the other thing is that you unfortunately may have to evaluate if you need more time. So what this looks like is if you're feeling super frustrated, if you've been pushing yourself, if you're sitting in front of your computer for long hours and still not getting anything done, and you're just starting to feel like you're just punishing yourself and getting nowhere, then we're into part two, which is evaluate how much time off you're going to give yourself. And see that I didn't say choose whether to have time off. No, once you're at that point where you're spinning your wheels, where you're frustrated, where you're not getting anything done, where you're just sitting there in front of the computer getting nothing, that's when you really have to decide how much it is. So one of my favorite things to do is to just take the afternoon off. Like if the morning wasn't really as productive as I wanted, I'll just take the afternoon, I'll take the afternoon off, and I'll come back the next day and it'll be extremely powerful and I'll be getting things done that I didn't expect. Or I'll take the afternoon off and then I'll have to jump back in because during that time that I was like resting, all sorts of ideas just started brewing and popping up. So the key is that your brain needs rest days. So just like when you're doing a lot of weight or strength training, or when you're doing, like for me, I do a lot of yoga stretches. So if you're doing a lot of yoga and you're trying to get your splits and you're trying to nail it and you're trying to get further and further along with that, you can't get anything done if you're skipping rest days. And it's exactly the same thing in your business and your life. And you're going to have to take time off, and it has to be something that feels really fulfilling, which feels really uncomfortable, to be honest, when you're coming out of a really unproductive day, because here you are, you didn't get anything done. Here you are, and you're hearing from probably people around you how you should be working, or like, why are you doing that? Why are you wasting time doing this? Or, oh, are you playing on your computer now? Or are you playing doing this? Are you, like, what is it that you're doing? So the important thing there is just make sure it's something that's going to fill you up. If you haven't had a chance to read a book just for the fun of it, without taking notes, without post-its, without underlining, highlighting, without it being about business or personal development, then go binge read Harry Potter if that's what it takes. If you haven't spent as much time in nature and that's something that recharges you, if you lose track of time in your garden, like that's what you have to do. That's how you know what to do. And for me, it was all a process of trying different things. So there's things that are supposed to be fun that other people do to recharge themselves that doesn't really work for me. And then there are other things that I do that recharge me, but aren't always the one that I needed. So experiment a little bit, decide how much you're going to give yourself. And if you find that you're still not recharged, feel free to give yourself a little bit more. Once you've given yourself a day, or depending on how burnt out you are at this point, because let's be real, you probably have gotten burnt out at some point, and it may happen again. So once you've given yourself a little bit of time, then that's when you can go back to my part one tips. That's when you can come back to giving yourself a small piece to build from. That's when you can come back to figuring out what action you want to take, and then breaking it down and scheduling it out and doing all the things you need to do. So if you find yourself in that rut, check and see if it's just breaking things down and giving yourself a little momentum. But then if it's not, do everything that I had just said. Find a way to take a little bit of time for yourself. So if it's being understood and feeling like you need that connection to someone, reach out in groups, Facebook groups, entrepreneur groups, reach out on social media, go call someone, tell them how grateful you are. You would not imagine how much it turns around your day. Or another thing is just look for the type of person you want to emulate and read their biography if you're an introverted thinking type especially. So that is my advice for you, to get you out of feeling embarrassingly unproductive and just acknowledging that there's a reason for it and taking some actions to get through. So if you loved this video, be sure to go to my Facebook community. So it's on Facebook, search for Curiosity Wings and join. And I'd love to hear your questions, any suggestions, feedback, and tell me what you're going to do. What's one step you will do next time you're feeling a little low on energy? Let's see. I think that's it for it. Thanks for joining. Also check me out on YouTube. Just type in Curiosity Wings and subscribe there. Thanks for joining.